All right, Tommy, our man, welcome to the show. How are we doing tonight?
Doing awesome, doing awesome. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Our first athlete from Stanford. But with that, man, there's a lot of pressure because, we're going to do some icebreaker questions, find out about you. And, we're going to judge all of Stanford and Palo Alto based upon your answers. So no pressure here, Don't make everybody else look bad, Tommy. Uh, but we're going to start, man. West Coast, who's your favorite musician or band?
Mm, that's a tough one. I kind of mix around with genres. I mean, I'll go like hip hop to EDM back and forth. Um, right now, I'm gonna have to go with Yeet. Right now, I'm kind of loving it right now.
You're a
Been,
breath of fresh air, Tommy, because we've been around the SEC a lot, and a lot of these guys, country is their thing, and it is not mine and Daniel's thing. And so we try to relate to them the best we can, but for the most part, we just really can't. So let me ask you this. What song, if you had to pick a song right now, you're going in to do BP, what's the song that you're listening to?
that's a good one. Um, Shoot, that's tough. Well, I mean, I got to go with my walk up songs. Like right now, I got the second half of Rich Flex by Drake. I love that part of the song, so I made that my walk up song, and then the song "Talk" by Yeet. I think both of those kind of fit my vibe, like that little hype up song, get me going. I always have that.
Well, that's the first edit that we're gonna have to do right there. So,
Man, I was like, what are you doing,
the song,
Daniel?
the song, the song starts off like that, and then the beat actually drops.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever ran into that. Usually he plays a song and it always makes the guests laugh. But yeah, that was a little different. But
I mean, I honestly that was like impromptu. I had no idea what I've never heard that song. So,
so to our listeners, there's gonna be an edit out that's not gonna make sense, but it's gonna be because Daniel tried to play a song that was inappropriate for children.
that's all
Yeah.
good. You know what we should do? We should just put the E next to the episode and just call it a wrap. And
No, because there's kids out there that are gonna listen that want to be like Tommy, and they're gonna hear that off the rip, and they're like, "What am I listening to?" And then their parents are gonna find out. So anyway, moving on. Let's find out. Let's find out what Tommy likes as far as movies. What's your favorite movie, Tommy?
Mm, Gotta go with Interstellar.
Ooh, that's deep, bro.
Love that
Oh
one.
God, you really are from Stanford. My goodness, that movie I had to think
Yeah.
way. It's an amazing movie, but I had to think way too much.
I like that.
So do you have you're a baseball guy, so I know there's so many good baseball movies. You got to have a baseball movie that's like your
Yeah,
favorite.
Major League Two.
Oh,
Yes.
Daniel, your guy. Daniel's a major league guy all the way.
Oh, for sure.
I'm like the kid. Like I gotta have like the Sandlots and the Rookie
Mm.
of the Years of the world. I do like the other movies, Major Leagues. I like the Moneyballs, but I don't know, man. I'm a kid at heart. I always love the kid ones. So for you, speaking of as a kid, who was your favorite athlete growing up that you looked to?
Growing up, I'd say it was between like Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez. I mean, my dad's from New York, so I've grown up being a Yankees fan, and I looked up to like those two guys a ton growing up. I love the way they play.
I don't I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those two guys. Some will debate you on A-Rod, but definitely there's no mistaking the impact Derek Jeter had on the game. So
Definitely.
I like it. I like it, man. But Tommy, let's go back. Let's start the story from the beginning because I always feel like the beginning is a good place to start. So tell me a little bit about, where you're from and where you grew up.
So I grew up in California. First off, Morgan Hill until I was around 10 or 11 years old. Then I moved to Los Gatos and then went to middle school and high school there. And then going to Stanford, I wanted to go somewhere close to home. But as soon as I graduated high school, my parents both moved to North Carolina over in Topsail Beach. So that's where home is now, about
So
3,000 away.
man, that's a quite the mileage in between
Yeah.
where you're at and where they're at. But let's talk about them. Let's dig in a little bit on mom and dad. You grew up, mom and dad, they're together. Brothers, sisters in the mix as well.
I do. I have an older sister and then an older half brother.
All right, so talk to me like as far as ages, how much older are they? Are we talking about like where they're old enough to where like the relationship isn't like super competitive and like you guys aren't going at it, they're just kind of older doing their own thing, you're kind of doing your own thing, or is it like close enough to where you guys are really getting after it like growing up?
Yeah. So my sister's 2 years older than me, and we're super close. Always been super close. We don't really get in any fights or anything, even growing up. My half brother, he's like 6 years older than me. Wasn't really that close to him. I haven't seen him in a long time, but I mean, like, I'm a big family guy. So yeah.
So your sister being a couple years older than you guys have a pretty solid relationship, I assume, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So
definitely.
is she an athlete as well?
She used to be. In high school, she was a really good gymnast, and she was getting offers from top programs in the country. And then uh, going into her junior year, she's on her like sixth surgery, just because she was just battling injuries, this and that. And it kind of just didn't become worth it anymore, just continually pushing through injuries. So she ended up quitting and moving on to other things. But she was a crazy competitor. I've learned a ton from her growing up, watching her practice and watching her work her butt off. Yeah, she's a just as competitive as me with everything. I look up to her a lot.
We've had many gymnasts on the show, and Jim and I, we say it all the time. We feel like gymnasts are probably the best overall athletes that we have on the show.
I would
So
agree.
I got to thinking, Daniel, we always say the hardest thing to do in sports is hit a baseball, but watching some of these gymnasts and the things they do, I don't know, man, sticking some of those things off the vault or staying on that beam, I don't know, it might be equally as hard.
yeah, I mean, in their own rights, I'm sure like there's a group of people that will say one thing and a group of people that will say another. But as far as like the actual complexity of the skill, it's got to be gymnastics because there's a lot of things that go into that. I mean, when you break down the simple principles of baseball, it's throwing, catching, and hitting. Like that's it. There's so many more things: jumping, moving, landing, all in coordination, symmetry, mobility, flexibility, strength, all that stuff that goes into gymnastics that you don't necessarily have to have in baseball. But I mean, I can't. I've never done gymnastics, so I can't really say. So
I don't
hitting
know.
hitting hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to me.
Tommy might be able to do a backflip while catching a ball. You don't know.
I bet it.
Maybe.
I bet
I've
he
never.
could. Bet he could. So with that, growing up, who was the better athlete, you or your sister?
Well, growing up, she got more of the attention regarding the athletics and stuff. And then once like we both got to high school, I started becoming a lot better at baseball, so it kind of evened out. And then obviously, as soon as she quit, obviously I took over. But she's a fierce competitor. It's so awesome watching her compete.
Yeah, for sure. So, were you a multi-sport athlete or was it strictly just baseball? The reason I ask is because it just really like I'm located in Florida, so a lot of guys are very sports specific and they can play year-round sports, so they kind of trend to play one sport only. But I don't know with the weather being what it is in Cali, it might be sort of the same.
Yeah, I mean, well, up until high school, I was playing a bunch of different sports. I grew up doing mixed martial arts, so I got my black belt and then quit that, and then did basketball, tackle football, all the way through middle school just for fun. And then once high school came around, and I started getting offers and this and that, I just focused on baseball.
And just
And
like that, Daniel, no longer is Trey Lipscomb the baddest baseball player we've had on here. Nobody's messing with Tommy Troy, bro. It's a black belt.
I Tommy, I gotta ask, is it's so strange. Like you said it so nonchalant. I got my black belt, no big deal, and then I just quit. Is it like I feel like, yeah, like what else do you do once you become a black belt? Like I guess you could become multiple degree black belt,
Yeah,
but at
I got
that point, it's like,
yeah,
what's the need for all that?
yeah. I mean, like that was honestly that was probably one of the most important things I did early on, going into my teenage years was doing that, just teaching you discipline and just having control over your body and toughness, this and that. I feel like that was really really good for me early on.
So your teammates know not to mess with you, right? Like you still, I
Yeah.
know you still don't
Oh,
do it.
yeah, I can still do some cool stuff.
Well, clearly, baseball becomes serious for you. You competed on USA Baseball's 20, in 2016, the 14U National Development Team program. What was an experience like that like? I mean, when you start putting national team USA in the same, category, like that's a big deal, man. Like tell me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, that was like the first time I really kind of realized like, like I should start taking the sport seriously when I made that team and I was out there playing with, the best guys in the country, and I was like, like I can hang with these guys, like I'm just as good as these guys, and it kind of just lit that fire in my stomach to keep working hard. Just put my head to the grindstone. That I'll never forget that experience. Just a week out there in Cary, North Carolina, with all those guys, and meeting a bunch of people, playing at that high of a level, was super super good experience.
Yeah, I mean, every athlete we talk to, we ask the question, like when did you feel like you were on that level and trending to be an elite level athlete? And everybody has that one particular instance. So I guess this particular time in your life is where you felt as though you kind of belonged in that upper echelon and you're like could see yourself doing this at a high level. So tell me a little bit. I mean, obviously that's a quite the experience, and that's probably something that comes outside of like just a typical league. It's probably a travel team that gets you hooked up there, a tryout or something. But I want to, hone in first on high school. Did you play high school baseball? And if so, what high school did you go to?
I went to Los Gatos High School, and I just played baseball, year round there every year. Didn't really play any other sports. I mean, like, I loved basketball, so I got my basketball in over at the Bay Club pretty much every day in high school.
So let me ask you this. Can you hoop for
I mean,
real?
like,
For real,
little,
like like
I got bunnies. I have some bunnies, and I can move around. I can create some shots, play make a little bit. I'm not gonna front and say I'm amazing at it, but
all right.
play a
Well,
little bit.
well, thank you. Thank you for being honest because we have dudes that come on this show, man, and they always say and I can like feel this line coming, and I just chuckle to myself every time I hear it. They're like, "Yeah, I played multiple sports, basketball, this and that," and then I ask the follow up, just like I asked you. I go, "Well, how good at basketball are you?" And then they always, without fail, go, "Well, this one time I did this." If somebody ever tells you about that one time they did something,
Yeah,
they're not good at it. They're not
right.
good. They,
Yeah.
that's what they're hanging their hat on. So, but come to find out, some of the guys can play a little bit, but most of them are really, really stretching the truth when they say they can still play.
It's
Um,
some people got a little bit of ego. No
oh
big deal.
yeah. Oh yes. I mean, you know how it is, man. When you
Yeah.
play high level Division 1 baseball, like you almost have to like breathe and live that ego because whether you have one or not, it's going to be around you. So you almost have to develop it.
Well, the best,
Yep.
Daniel, is when we have guests on who start talking smack to each other about how they'll play basketball. But then, Tommy, then they'll break it that coach won't let them play basketball. So it's easy to talk smack when you actually can't go out there and do it.
Yeah.
True. True.
So Los, I want to call it Los Gatos, but
Yep.
is that right? Is that
That's
how you
right.
say it?
Yep.
Male Athlete of the Year 2020 led your team to the 2018 Central Coast runner-up finish. You were perfect game and on national list. You know, all kinds of travel ball. Talk to me a little bit about high school and like what were some of your favorite moments?
Yeah. High school was a lot of ups and downs. I mean, I had a really good time in high school. That was just kind of where I was just kind of trying to figure out my game. Just like it just felt like I was like fluctuating with different weights and different play styles almost. But kind of towards the end of high school, I kind of just figured out how I'm supposed to play. I worked my butt off, just getting a bunch faster and stuff, and just trying to impact the game in many ways as I could. So I feel like kind of leading up to like that junior, senior year, was really just refining everything, um, for how, like what type of baseball player I wanted to be. And then, sorry,
So
favorite moment would probably be sophomore year, um, CCS, championship game. That was, even though we lost, we played a really good game. It was a dogfight. So yeah.
so when we do the research, we look at obviously some high school stuff, but we get, your travel ball stuff as well. You competed for Zoots, that's 2016, 17,
Mhm.
NorCal in 2018, and then the California Club Baseball in 2019. Um, at that travel ball level, talk to me about the talent that you faced, and how did playing for those teams help make you a better player?
Zeus was really competitive. Yeah. So yeah, that travel team was really good. We always played really good teams. We always tried to play up, in age as well. So I feel like that was a really good opportunity early on that helped me a lot, adjust and kind of get ahead of the game and know what I need to work on, what I need to get better at. The coaching staff was also really good, with like John Zuber, Joe Betancourt. Those guys were really good mentors early on, in my baseball career. So yeah.
So, what was the need to play for three different teams?
You're talking like Zoots, NorCal.
Yeah,
Um, I guess just with like costs and just like the amount of traveling I wanted to do. Um, I mean, like I always trying to stay loyal to certain teams, but just like it was mainly Zoots, and then I switched to NorCal, and then when NorCal wasn't playing, or if I wanted to get some extra at bats locally, I would do CCB. So like that's
gotcha.
kind of so.
That's what I figured. I think it was just, to you had the opportunity to continue playing for different people, so you just took advantage of the
Yeah.
ability to do so, which I mean, at that point, if you're feeling good and you're healthy, man, it's almost you got to, man. You got to stay on top of the curve. You got to keep yourself fresh, but also just keep yourself sharp, because you never know. You never know when that person is going to be watching. You never know when that school is going to call and say, "Hey, we're going to be here. We want to check you out." Even so much that every article that we read, it talks about you dreaming to go to Stanford. So with that, did you get any offers or any looks, or was there any thought in your head to choose someone other than Stanford?
I mean, I definitely had other looks, and other offers going on, leading up to Stanford, but Stanford was like my main train of thought and what I was working really hard towards because I had to get a certain GPA, my sophomore year of high school to even get offered. So I kind of just put everything else aside and was just really focusing on that to see if I could do it. Because before then, before sophomore year, I really didn't prioritize, academics too much. Like I wasn't like getting bad grades, but I wasn't really challenging myself with AP classes and honor stuff. So like sophomore year, I had to take an AP class. It was like AP European history, and that
Was
was like,
it was it like a shock to the system when you start going, "Oh man, I want to go to Stanford. Let me see what I need to do," and then you go, "Oh shoot,
yeah,
that's what I need to do."
it
Man,
was a
that's
shock to the system, 100%. I definitely had to rethink it multiple times, but I just told myself I was going to make it happen and go through it. And then after going through sophomore year, taking one, had to do junior year, take three more AP classes, and then senior year, take four more, AP and honors. I mean, like I kind of built myself up, pretty well, and I challenged myself, and it feels really good now that it's paid off, and that I'm at this school now.
definitely. So, what was it about Stanford? Was it just because you always dreamed to go there, or was it a particular person, an experience? What was it where Stanford was your school?
It was a multitude of things. I mean, firstly, it was close to home at the time. I thought that was really important. Um, Another thing was just just obviously the academics were amazing. Um, at the time I was committing, the baseball program was doing really well, and I loved the coaching staff. Like Thomas Eager and David Esker initially offered me freshman year at Cal Berkeley, but then after my freshman year, they moved over to Stanford, and I really loved that coaching. I love those two guys, and I was like, dude, like they moved here, like this is dream come true. I always loved Stanford, and they just told me straight up how I was going to go. How, if the offer was going to roll over, I'd have to improve some things on the academic side. So yeah, I was just really just a multitude of things that kind of just made Stanford my dream school. I remember like when I was 9 years old, 9 or 10 years old, I played for this little Stanford club team, and we got to practice on that field. So I kind of got a feel from it for that field at a really young age, and really kind of sparked that love for that school.
Yeah, so no doubt when you dream about going to a school and you talk about that when you're 9 years old, when you officially get to campus, you're enrolled, you're a student, you're going to be playing baseball there. What are the emotions like when it becomes real?
It didn't really feel real probably until I actually got to go to in-person classes, because freshman year everything was really online, and it was really hard to get organized. I struggled a little bit first freshman quarter. But then when we finally got to go to classes, that's when it kind of sunk in, and like biking to class and showing up and like taking notes, and challenging yourself with hard classes. I feel like that's when it kind of finally kicked in. You're like, damn, like I'm in this, and I'm doing it. Yep.
So you're on like this video Zoom right now. I bet you had a lot of classes. You got tired of being in front of a laptop, didn't you?
Oh my gosh. I would never want to do online school again. It's the worst. You don't, it's so much harder to learn. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, no doubt. So at freshman season, you played in 49 games, starting 39 while hitting 247, 29 runs scored, six doubles, 10 home runs, 28 RBIs. What I love reading about you is you're the ultimate team guy, man. You literally play any position on the field as. So, with that, freshman year was we're going to get into specifics of games and the team, but just for what you were thinking individually, did it meet expectations?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like just from the start, I just noticed the culture of the team and how close everybody was. And just, I just love that team atmosphere. Everyone has so much energy. Everyone wants the same thing. So like that was just kind of the first time being introduced to that, where everyone's just wanting to win a national championship, and we're working super hard to get there. So that was really awesome. Like freshman year, I was super mature. I'm just going up there, swing as hard as I can, you know. So it was definitely a learning experience freshman year.
That's where the 247 average came in.
Yeah, just
Don't
swinging.
don't worry. We go get to the next season where it takes a tremendous
No,
jump. So team goes 39-17. You end up hosting regionals. What was that environment like, man? Where first of all, you talk about coming from that COVID season when it got to regionals, were y'all allowed to have a full capacity stadium?
nope. We're still at
Oh,
5%, and it was kind of brutal.
oh.
We lowest atmosphere for a regional game my freshman year.
Well, that's a shame because you wasted no time. You hit a home run to open up the scoring on North Dakota State. So I mean, you get to regionals, even though it doesn't have the atmosphere you'd like. I mean, what's it like in your first regional game going up there putting the first run on the board for Stanford?
I felt really good because I was kind of in and out of the lineup before that. So when I did that, it just felt really good. I can get these guys going and making an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. So y'all take care of business and move on to play Texas Tech. Tell me they didn't get to have a full house on y'all.
They were packed.
Oh, that's not even
They,
cool.
like, they were packed, like 8,000, and it was all 8,000 yelling at you. And I loved it. That was like my first time in a stadium like that where everyone's talking smack to you. I'm on deck and people are chirping me, searching stuff up on my social media. Oh, it was great. I loved it. So it felt really good shoving the bat up their butt.
And that's what I say, Daniel. Isn't it nothing better? They don't get to have a full crowd. They go to Texas Tech and they are able to have a full crowd. And like he just said, I mean, they absolutely railroaded them, beat the tar out of them. So what was it like, man? The emotions. You talked about expectations. You come to Stanford to compete for championships, and here it is. It's surreal, man. Freshman year, y'all take care of business in Super Regional on the road and punch your ticket to Omaha.
Yeah, that felt good. I mean, going into that series, like we were the underdog and everyone was expecting us to lose. So we were just relaxed. I mean, like, at that time, it was Texas Tech who, they were the ones that were nervous and, had the expectation to win. So we were just out there playing loose and competed really well. I mean, obviously our Friday, Saturday guys were electric. Brendan Beck and Alex Williams we used 3 pitchers in 2 games. It was just, it was unreal pitching. And then just all of our bats showed up. I remember Brock hit 3 home runs. Game 2, pretty much sealed the deal. So it was really awesome.
That Brock guy's pretty good. I hear.
Yeah.
So y'all, get to Omaha. You came on my radar because we don't, me and Daniel talk about it. West Coast games are on so late here. We don't get to watch them, then network coverage, all that. So we don't get to see too much of Stanford baseball, but I was in Omaha, got to see y'all play against Arizona, and I happened to be in the left field section when you hit that home run to left center. So I became familiar with you during that game. And so obviously Omaha, y'all come up short, but talk about y'all did get a win over Arizona. You did get to hit that home run, and overall you did get to experience Omaha. So just, touch on that a little bit, just how cool the experience was, even though you guys came up short.
Yeah, I mean, just looking back on it kind of leaves a bitter taste in your mouth, just thinking about, what could have happened if we won that game against Vanderbilt, for how close that game was. I feel like we really had a shot, just with the whole thing that went on with NC State, because we would end up playing NC State with half their roster, half their pitching, and then we would have moved on to Mississippi State, having an extra day of rest. Looking back on that, it's just really, really interesting to see how it would have played out. But I mean, that was freshman year, being able to do that was just such an awesome experience, especially being able to hit a bomb there too, to kind of put the dagger in the 3rd inning or whatever it was. That was really cool to get a win there and make an impact for the team.
Well, Tommy, I hate it for you guys, but it's a blessing in disguise. I'll move this screen up. You can see that bell back there. My son is a diehard State fan, and Omaha he considers to be 2021 to be the greatest trip of his life. And so, had y'all had it go a different way, and then y'all beat Mississippi State, you would have ruined it for him. So I'm kind of glad it went the way it did. I hate it for you, man, but that's my kid, and man, he loved every bit of it. He believes maroon, which is crazy because I'm an LSU fan. It doesn't even make sense, but it's what it is. Kids will be kids.
Just think, had Stanford played State, and let's say Tommy hits a home run, like Tommy, his son, you could be his son's favorite player right now.
Or he could be the most hated player. Remember what he did to Dylan Cruz? Tommy, my son stiffed Dylan Cruz for hitting the game-winning home run in Starkville. After the game, I was meeting up with them. He literally goes to give him a fist bump. He pulls back and tells him Hail State. And I looked at my son disgusted. I was like,
oh my
Cruz.
God. Good for him, though, that he's got that.
He's loyal. He's loyal. There's no doubt. So let's get to sophomore season because, we talked about that 247 batting average, man, but you jumped it up to 339 with 34 runs scored, 15 doubles, 3 triples, 7 home runs, 23 RBIs while playing in 55 games in which you started 46. What did you do in that offseason that really helped? I know you said you were just hacking away during that freshman season, but obviously you had to have changed something in your approach and coming to the plate to go, basically almost 100 points higher in your batting average.
I mean, dude, sophomore year, I would call that a roller coaster for sure. I mean, starting off the season, that first month, I barely could hit, to be honest. I feel like I really struggled that first month, and then got out of the lineup for like a weekend, and then came back in the lineup, finally started playing well, and then sprained my ankle super bad during practice about a third of the way through during like a bunt coverage when I'm at second base. So that put me out for about two weeks or so. And that time I was probably hitting like 220 with no home runs. So I was pretty much out of the lineup then. So from that point on, or about a third way through the season, I had to work back in the lineup while being injured. I remember we went to UCLA a couple weeks after that, and I was pinch hitting. And after I get a hit, I'd limp to first, and they'd pinch run for me. So like that was like kind of how I had to work back in the lineup that way. And then I finally got a chance to get back in there a couple weeks after that, and I just kind of ran with it. And I feel like that time away from baseball, being out of the lineup with all those expectations leading up into the season, really just kind of maybe look at baseball from a different perspective. That it's not everything. It doesn't have to be everything about your life. You can separate your life from baseball and just go out there and play and have fun. It's a privilege you're able to be on a field like that and compete with all of your brothers around you. So I feel like that's what kind of allowed me to really get into it after that. I mean, if you were to go over statistics from how I hit before my ankle injury to after, I remember I did the math. It's pretty cool. Just showing, what just relaxing and having fun does to your game.
Let me
So
ask you,
go
ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was going to say, didn't you play for the Gateman in the Cape that summer? Did that help you at all? Just having fun over the summer playing in the Cape?
100%. Yeah, I ended up playing pretty well in the Cape. And I feel like that gave me some confidence going into the season, maybe a little bit too much pressure on myself, which probably caused me to struggle a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah, was Cameron James on that team with you?
He was. Same
That's
with
what
Kellen.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, no, I was not even just Cameron. About half that team, Daniel. I was looking at the roster. It's hard because some of the guys, including yourself, I know that you played for them, but the roster, because the guys who came from Omaha weren't on the original roster. So, but I was pretty sure that was Cameron's team. About half your roster from that team has actually been guests on the show. It really shows the small community or whatever. And I know a lot of guys said that the Cape helped them out. I think Kellum struggled pretty bad though, if I remember correctly. But yeah, no. What was let me ask about that. We like to ask guys, man. We always watched the movie Summer Catch when we were in high school, and so the Cape was seen as like this really awesome, glorious place. Like, did it live up to the expectations that you were hoping for?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, aside from being in Wareham, I mean, like I feel like that's not the best. It's not the best area of the Cape. But that summer vibe. Like talking to my other teammates who are in the Northwoods, it's so much better. I mean, like the longest bus ride you got to take is an hour if there's traffic and stuff. But I mean, like our situation was a little bit different when I was at Wareham. We're all living in like a dorm about like 30 minutes away from the field. So it was a lot different than my second year experience over at Katuitt. But I mean, it was still fun. Like feels like Orleans or Hyannis or just like all those other fields. Like such a cool summer ball vibe where people are like lying out in the grass, just to, like over at Orleans. I remember there's probably like a few thousand people there, and they're all lying on the grass. It's just such a cool summer ball vibe, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Daniel, you got a baby on the way, so obviously you're gonna be busy here soon. But I mean, are we gonna make a trip to the Cape one summer, bro?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, we
Why
watched
not?
that
Why
movie
not?
1,000 times in high school, dude. We got to at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we got to get Tommy to be our trip guide because he knows where's good, where's bad, what fields are
Yeah,
good, what
his
fields are
first season
bad.
was apparently in the Memphis region where we're from. Sounded like it was a little rough. So
It's not
back,
as great as the rest of the Cape.
and that tells us what we don't know, because usually when we talk to guys about the Cape, they don't say that there's different areas where it's better or not. They just kind of talk about the baseball. So you educated us on something that we didn't know. There's the different parts. So
Or
we'll definitely get your take on where not to go. But back to Stanford. Sorry, I went on a sidetrack, but I got to thinking about that because I saw the picture that you had played, and I started thinking about who all was on that team and who's been on this show. But
Yeah.
So that team went 47-18, Pac-12 champs. So clearly a team on a mission, like you said, had a bitter taste in your mouth from Omaha the year before. Let's start with Round Rock, man. That's where y'all jumped right back on my radar. Obviously, Stanford's always on the radar. But y'all go win that tourney. Y'all beat number 2 ranked Arkansas in a game which you went 3 for 4. Coming into the season, you always feel like you can achieve anything, but going into Round Rock and especially beating the team that starts off the season number 2, I mean, was it then that y'all said, you know what, we're fixing to make another run back to Omaha and do this thing?
100%. Yeah. I mean, like, obviously it was a new team, and we always like to kind of get those expectations out of our head, like our rankings this year is because of last year's team. Like, we always try to look at it that way, and like, this is a brand new team, and we got to look at it that way, and we got to prove ourselves, and we got to go out there and compete and have fun. So I feel like, but like, definitely that year before, for the returning guys, definitely losing in Omaha left a bad taste in our mouth, and we wanted to get back there and give it another shot.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like those rankings, man, like, and we'll get to, or Daniel will get to this year here soon, but I mean, I think it just speaks to the volume of the program, because Stanford has become a team that is a perennial Omaha team. And so the expectations are there now. And that's the very reason why you went there. So, like, it's a good thing. So you guys, obviously, like I said, win the Pac-12 championship, end up being regional and super regional hosts. Did it feel different this time, especially with the fact that you won your conference and that you knew you were going to be host the whole way through?
It did feel different. Definitely. I mean, just going into regionals and like being able to host both of those definitely changed the path. I feel like we had an easier path. It still ended up being kind of a grind, having to play all 5 for regional and then all 3 for super regional. But we definitely had a lot of confidence going into the College World Series, and I'm surprised it ended up not working out once we got there, and we ended up going 0-2. But I mean, again, it's the same thing this year. We got smacked once we got to go to Omaha, and so it's just that same thing going this year. We want to get another shot, another crack at it again. And I think it's just like ultimately just going to that biggest stage and just being able to perform and play the same. I feel like last year we may have gotten there and tried to do more when we got to that big stage, rather than just playing the same ways we did the whole year.
Yeah, well, before y'all got there, Daniel, he casually talked about the black belt thing. Let me casually throw this number out there, Daniel. In the regional, he hit 600 with 8 runs scored, 4 doubles, 3 home runs, and 7 RBIs to earn all region honors. Dude, Tommy, what was going on? Like, you mad at somebody, bro? 600?
I mean, at that point, the ball was looking pretty big, and I was just going out there competing. I was DHing at the time. So, I mean, it was just fun. I love playing in that big atmosphere. We actually were having a pretty good turnout for those regional games. And, when I get to play at a high level, high energy, that's when I'm at my best and I'm having fun. So I feel like just that environment kind of just brought that out of me, and just kind of just kept bleeding over into the rest of the season until now.
I heard you would have hit 800, but they just stopped pitching to you. They're just like, we refuse to throw any more pitches to this guy.
Yeah, we didn't want him to get any higher, but you talked about what happened in Omaha, and like I said, I'm talking about what's leading up to it. I talked about, did it feel different this time? Winning super regionals now at home in front of your crowd, punching that ticket. It's gotta feel even better than the time before. Even though you've been to Omaha before, going to Omaha is always going to feel special. But also getting it done in front of your home crowd, I assume.
Yeah.
So you get there, and unfortunately, I talked about what I got to see you do against Arizona when I was in Omaha the year before. I was unfortunately there for the Arkansas game, and I can tell you the only thing I can do to make you feel better. You may enjoy this story, you may not. I felt bad. I went over to Rocco's after the game, and I looked at Stanford on the Jello shot board, and y'all had just got beat like that, and y'all were also in dead last in the Jello shots. And I called Daniel here, and I said, man, I'm gonna do a jello shot for Stanford. And Daniel goes, I'll Venmo you the money right now. Do a shot at Stanford for me too. So Tommy, we
Oh,
did a couple shots for Stanford.
appreciate. We definitely needed those two. If
Yeah,
you,
it was struggling. Hey, you know what? It tells me that y'all are more focused and prioritized on the other things, not drinking like the teams from the South, like Arkansas and Ole Miss, who had by the thousands. So it just tells me
I,
y'all are responsible.
I mean, I think it was just more the amount of people that were not, but at that game,
I didn't want to call out your fan base for not
20,
traveling, Tommy. I left it alone.
about like 25,000 Arkansas fans and then like 200 Stanford fans. That's what it felt like. It was a
Yeah, no
fun.
Hey,
doubt. Well, it's a lot farther travel from California to Omaha for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So
so,
go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead, Jim.
No, you got it.
So I want to get into this season and talk a little bit. Obviously, um, when you come off of stints and seasons where you have great, personal numbers, but also team meets expectations and they go to Omaha not once but twice. Now you're looking at this season and just you alone. Um, you're on the Golden Spikes Award watch list, D1 Baseball preseason All American first team list, Baseball America preseason All America first team, perfect game preseason first team, Pac-12 preseason all conference, and not to mention Stanford is in every poll coming into the season like fifth or higher in the rankings. When you look at all of those things and where you came from the previous seasons and the personal accomplishments from there to now, is there any pressure or is it that you know going to Omaha and coming up short, and it just gives you the confidence to know you know how to get there and you know what you got to do. You just got to go out and do it.
I mean, individually, I've already learned my lesson with putting pressure on myself and listening to all that noise and looking at all that stuff. But I mean, like after last year, I definitely learned just to separate all of that and just go out and play and have fun. I feel like the rest of our teams bought in on that too. Is just to kind of get rid of all that noise. And this is a new team, this is a new club, and we're just gonna play our asses off. That's just like we work really hard. We try to pay attention to all the details and do all the little things right so that when we go up in the game, we feel prepared and we're just going to go out there and compete.
Does what is coach's take on rankings and social media and what people are saying? Does that even come to the forefront, or you guys are just so laser focused on the job that you got to do on the field, like none of that like hits you?
I mean, I don't feel like we take it too seriously. We kind of laugh about it. I mean, I remember last year when we finally when we started off 1-5 in Pac-12 and we dropped below the top 25. We were just making jokes like, all right, they think we suck now. We can go out and play. Um, so I remember that being funny. And then going into this year, it's kind of the same thing where it's a new ball club. I don't think Eski really cares too much about the rankings. It's we have a whole new team and we're just gonna play that way and just go out and win.
So 333, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. You got 5-2 record on the start, so not bad. But your team expects to be better than that.
Yeah.
For you though, Tommy, what's the one thing that you feel like you need to improve on, given where you're at currently?
Where I'm at currently, I feel like I'm doing fine. For the way I've been pitched to. Um, some stuff I could do better is probably it was more that like if I'm gonna look at this past weekend, had some stuff in my swing going on where wasn't really impacting the ball as well as I should have. Other than that, I felt pretty confident in myself and been having a really good time out in the field. And we've had some pretty crazy games, some close games, some blowouts. So um, I feel like we haven't had the start that we wanted, but it's kind of the start that we needed, just kind of finding our team and finding our identity.
Gotcha. So would you say obviously, when you lose 2 games, you always go, well, we don't want to lose any games. All right, cool. But the reality is you're going to lose some games. Being that you're 5-2, looking at the games that you've lost, is the season started in an acceptable fashion for you guys?
Um, I wouldn't say yes. I mean, like if we look at the first game that we lost game 1 against Fullerton, pretty much top to bottom, guys were just probably trying to do too much. We really didn't hit much. And I mean, pitching wasn't really shaky at all. We just kind of weren't really competing that well. And then game 2, we flipped it over, competed really well. Game 3, the bats kind of started waking up. And then that midweek, we lost again against Cal. That game probably was something that we don't want to experience again. Just super non-competitive. Kind of just rolled over. The energy wasn't there. I remember being super cold. And it felt like an easy game for Cal to beat us. And, they showed up and we didn't. So I feel like it's just a matter of from learning from that. I feel like early on we can make mistakes. And it's somewhat acceptable as long as you learn from it. And you don't make the same mistake twice. So
Yeah.
it's
The crazy thing is just given y'all's success and just the pedigree that Stanford baseball brings is, the reality is you're going to get everybody's best game. They look at you guys on the schedule and they go, that's the team that I want a signature win over somebody. And they look at you guys and every team says that. So, I mean, I guess I say that to say, 5-2 is pretty respectable knowing that, and that you also, use it as kind of that fuel, that motivation to go, hey, this is a midweek game, but the person that's showing up in this midweek game to play us isn't thinking this is a midweek game. So we got to be in it. We got to bring our A game every single time. So, hearing you talk about that kind of, it just justifies, the things that coach is saying to you guys and the program as a whole. And it really validates the reason why you guys have been so good, because you recognize where you need to be, when you're not hitting the mark, and you got to do things better, but also you're not going to sit and rest on that. You're going to strive to be perfect. You're going to strive to do better and strive not to make the same mistakes over. So, I want to fast forward a little bit if we can. Obviously, there's pro baseball that's in your future. I'm going to read this strictly from a pro scouting report. It's not a whole lot, but it's just a little blurb. It says, 5'10", 197-pound middle infielder with balanced tool set. A right-handed hitter, has notable power for his size, consistently barrels up pitches and drives the ball to all parts of the field. How accurate of a statement? We'll start with this. How accurate of a statement is that?
I feel like it's very accurate. Yeah, definitely. Just the way I hit. Pretty quick.
He's 5'8", he said.
What's up?
It said, "Except you're 5'8". Don't lie.
Come on.
You know how they always lie on those. They give him a couple inches, Daniel.
At 5'10". I embrace it. I could say I'm 5'11", but I embrace the 5'10".
So let me ask you this. Take that same little statement, that same blurb. By the time it is draft time, what do you want to be added? What do you think needs to be added, or what do you want to be added to that blurb?
Yeah, I'd say a couple things. First off, being kind of just my approach as I've refined it. I feel like I haven't, with plate discipline and my swing rates and this and that and swing and miss tendencies that I've had early on in my career. I definitely feel like I've polished that up a lot. Starting over like this past summer, took a big stride in that regard, like just seeing the ball better and swinging at the pitches I should be swinging at. And also just being more patient, not being passive, but being more patient and getting the pitches I want, which has allowed me to be on base and walk more. So I feel like that's another thing that I see is going to be added this year, is just a refined approach, which is just going to make me a much more complete hitter. Another thing I would say would be my defense. I feel like I really haven't established my defensive profile as much as I wanted to. So I feel like playing a full season at a position and playing really well, which I know I can stay consistent. I've had a great start so far, and I just want to keep that confidence going forward. And then lastly, probably base running. I feel like I haven't made an impact stealing as much as I wanted so far. So I feel like this year is just a great opportunity to, kind of take advantage of it. I really feel like I can impact the game with my speed. I feel like it's something that's maybe been overlooked. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm really confident moving into this season.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely it's everything that I've seen and read and the research we've done, like that's a pretty accurate statement and based on like if you can add those things that you're saying as far as being able to control the zone, being disciplined, and then you add the defensive prowess to that, like you that's a complete package. Like who wouldn't want to invest in somebody that can do all of that for them?
Let me ask him this, Tommy. You've been playing second base, but I had mentioned earlier, obviously you played shortstop. You can play anywhere. Is second base on the next level where you think your ideal projection is, or do you think you can maybe move over to the other side of the infield?
I feel like I can definitely move over the other side of the infield. I feel like another thing that's been overlooked is my arm strength too. That's something I've been working on a lot. I'm over at third base right now. I've been holding it down in the hot corner pretty well. I can also move over to shortstop. I played shortstop this past summer, and I feel like I did really well. I feel like I can really develop that part of my game in pro ball too. So I'm confident I can play shortstop at the next level.
So let's go there. Is the draft something that is on your mind at all, or are you fully focused on Stanford winning a national championship, and then the draft is just the byproduct of all of that?
I'll be lying if I said it never comes across my mind. Obviously, yeah, it pops up here and there, but I put all my effort into really just focusing on where my feet are, just where the season is, and winning a national championship. And you're right about the whole draft being a byproduct of winning, and that's 100% true. So that's all I'm kind of focusing on this season.
And I'll tell you this, from the guests that we've had on, those who, obviously there's players that are on the map, but when they thrive in the postseason and in Omaha, watched a lot of guys draft stock go up just from, there's guys you could be on everybody's radar, Tommy, but you go rake in Omaha, man, it's amazing how much you jump the ladder.
Yeah, I would say just of recency. I would say, I don't know if you agree with this, Jim. Landon Sims is a guy that benefited from being on that.
Him
stage.
and Will Bednar.
Yep.
Will Bednar was a projected mid-second round pick and I'm going 15th overall. So yeah, undoubtedly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Tommy, dude, we're at the end, man. You
Awesome.
you ready to play a little game and like wrap this thing up, put a nice little bow on this episode?
I'm with it.
All right, so this or that, just like I told you earlier, give you two options. You choose one option or the other. Just be decisive. I know you got this, man.
Let's do it.
All right, so first question is a little layup question, get you kind of in the groove here. West Coast natives, so are I'm assuming acai bowls are a thing there. I feel like that's y'all's little thing. So would you rather have an acai bowl or would you rather go to an In-N-Out burger?
In-N-Out burger.
All day, every day.
Yeah.
See, I told you it's kind of a layup question.
I don't know. We got some guys on here with some health nuts.
If I was
Man,
maybe.
It's if somebody picked an acai bowl over a burger, we would just end the episode.
Well, Daniel, we've had some guys who are trying to cut weight. We got some guys who are trying to gain weight. So that's also what plays a factor into it.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right, Tommy, would you rather hit a ton of home runs but strike out a lot, or have a high average but don't hit a lot of bombs?
You're striking out less though, right?
Yeah, you're definitely. Yeah.
I feel like the margins would matter But I guess I would just probably go with hitting for a super high average, less strikeouts.
I think he's like only the second guy to ever say that. Everybody else says, "Give me the bombs."
So
I feel like it depends. It does depend, but I'll go with the hits.
hey, you gotta have a ton of those as well. You gotta have guys that can do that, man. And you
Yeah.
can't. It's not often, and I don't know. Maybe you can, but I feel like you gotta have guys that are hard to get out. Not necessarily guys that are hard to pitch to because you're afraid that at any moment they can hit a bomb. But I think guys that can run the count full, that can take pitches, that can force the pitcher to get out of a comfort zone and throw more pitches than they probably want to, and also put the ball in play and hit for, gap to gap, or, get on base, man. Like those guys are I can appreciate
Daniel,
that.
I got a stat for you. I'm gonna do this to Tommy. I'm gonna bring up an LSU thing on a Stanford episode. Do you know when Dylan went 5 for 5, Dylan Cruz went 5 for 5 on Sunday? 4 out of 5 of them were in 2 strike counts. How you like that?
I mean, you gotta feel comfortable hitting 2 strikes, especially if you're a hitter like that and the way guys pitch you. I know Dylan Cruz is getting that pitcher's best stuff every at bat. I mean, I love that out of him though. To see a guy be comfortable and still be as confident with 2 strikes.
Tommy, let me ask you a question since I brought him up. When people try, like we got you on this episode and we've been very complimentary of you and read accolades. When people do that to you in person, like if I'm around Dylan all the time and they say stuff like he doesn't like to be complimented. He doesn't, like hearing his stuff being talked about. Are you the same kind of way? Like, does it feel uncomfortable when people like sit there and hype you up, or are you one of those people that thrives on like, come on, tell me more?
I mean, it's a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, a little bit goes a long way for me, I'd say. I always appreciate love from other people, but I mean, yeah, if like you getting smoke blown up, you're behind all the time, it can be a little bit much.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have people make you feel good, but there's a level where it can be, put you in an awkward position where you feel uncomfortable, and like
Yeah.
you can always say I appreciate that, thank you, so many times, so many ways before it kind of
True.
it gets old. But favorite uniform, red, white, or black? And I'm sure red isn't the color, it's probably something else, but
Just Cardinal is
Cardinal. That's
but
what I figured. The
black.
black. So is the black like a Sunday thing, or is the black like if you guys win the Friday, Saturday, on Sunday, you can wear the black?
I have no, dude. It's flip flop. Sometimes we've gone black multiple days in a row because it's hot. Like we've done some weird stuff, but yeah, it's really up to the pitcher. It's whatever the Friday guy wants to wear, and then the Saturday guy picks the next one, and the Sunday guy picks the next one.
I mean, I feel like black is the jersey you go to when you're out for blood. Period.
It's true.
Hey, those
It
look
looks.
fresh. Those
They do.
look good. All right. So this is a bucket list question. So would you rather attend a bucket list concert or a bucket list sporting event?
That's a tough one. Probably bucket list sporting event. I've always wanted to go to like a playoff or like a World Series MLB game. That would be so cool.
I agree. Like a game 7, like
Yeah.
Who's playing, Tommy? Who if in your dream scenario, who's playing in this World Series?
I'm gonna go Yankees versus Dodgers.
He's going
homer.
historic.
What a
No,
homer pick.
he's going historical. Don't even do that.
All right. Would you rather be attacked by a grizzly bear or a tiger? So like here's what I'll say. This is like you're not gonna survive either of these.
Yeah.
But in the event that you had to try to survive, who do you think you got the better odds of surviving?
I'm probably gonna have to go Tiger. I mean, I sometimes pop like videos of like grizzly bears fighting each other pop up on my feed. That looks gnarly, dude. For that, I feel like I might have a better chance with Tiger. Who knows though?
You remember how you told me, you guys you came out, a midweek game against Cal and you didn't match their energy and they ended up winning the game.
Yeah.
That's the grizzly bear because these dudes hibernate a quarter of the year. So like a quarter of the year is like their midweek game. They're just not doing anything. They're not caring. They're just kind of chilling out. Like that's when I want to take on the grizzly bear.
Yeah.
Right then.
Well, Daniel, we've been asking this question all season, and I actually went to the zoo on Sunday and got to see both these animals. And man, bro, give me the grizzly bear. Dude, the tiger, I'm telling you, I'm looking in its paws. I watched it yawn and
Yeah.
saw its teeth. I don't want nothing to do with it, bro.
And let's think about this. When do tigers hunt?
At night.
In the
At
nighttime.
at night. At night. So I can't see in the dark. Can you?
True.
So
I catch
that's
a bear.
why it's scary.
I'll catch a bear slipping when he's eating berries or something.
There you go.
Oh man. Okay. I'll take that. All right. Last question, Tommy, and then we'll get you out of here. And this
All
is
right.
this is a good one now. This is the best that we got. Would you rather betray your best friend or go to jail for a crime you didn't commit? And so everyone always asks, so I'll be specific. The betrayal is the worst kind of betrayal.
Oh,
Your best friend, there's no coming back. Whatever in your mind that is, that's what the betrayal is.
And then the next question is how long? So, Daniel, how long you giving them in prison?
In prison, it's 10 plus years. So betray your best friend or go to jail for a crime you didn't commit.
burn the bridge with my best friend, to be honest.
That's a great answer. That's the right answer.
10 years in prison, I ruined my life. No.
There's so many guys who try to be that good friend. They're like, "Oh no, I couldn't do that to my friend." Daniel immediately tells me, "I'll stab you in the back."
I will stick that knife so far in, it wouldn't even matter.
Hey, but here's the worst part, Tommy. He said he wouldn't do 3 days for me, let alone.
Look, Tommy, I ain't spending 10 years, 10 months, 10 weeks, 10 days, 10 hours. I ain't spending 10 minutes. I don't know, Randy and I were talking last episode and we said we wouldn't even walk in the waiting area.
Wow.
That's not an indictment on me. That's just how bad Daniel doesn't want to go into jail.
Look, that's man, I know what, like, I'm 38, man. I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. I've never been to jail, but I can tell you right now, I wouldn't be good at it. So it is what it is, man. Sorry, Jim. My bad, but I ain't going to jail. So
that's great.
All right, Tommy, man, a great episode. We appreciate you coming on. Before you bounce, anything you want to plug or promote?
Shoot. I mean, not really. Just hats off to you guys. It's really cool that you guys are close, doing a podcast like this. Really, really cool to see.
Look, man, I had a feeling, and most guys are very humble. They don't plug or promote anything, but I'm gonna plug you. I'm gonna promote you. I'm gonna put you out there because I want people to take a look at you. I want them to follow you. I want them to see what you got going on. So everybody out there listening, I want you to go over to Instagram. And if you want to see what Tommy Troy's doing on Monday night, maybe he's on a podcast. Or maybe it's Tuesday and it's Taco Tuesday. Who knows? I mean, those California tacos, man, they might be banging on Tuesday.
They are.
Going over to Instagram at Tommy Troy 5, or if you want to catch Tommy on the diamond, going over to at Stanford BSB. You'll get updates, scores, you'll get, highlights, videos, you'll get the whole nine. Check them out. I'm telling you, you'll love it. It's very, very good. Instagrams, and I don't say this all the time because I'm not a social media guy, but when I look at it, you got a good one. Stanford Baseball's got a good one. So y'all go check it out. Yeah, man. Tommy, dude, it's been a blast. If there's anything we can do for you along the way, man, reach out to us.
Thank you so much. It's nice meeting you guys.
Yeah, you too, man. And definitely, no matter what, however the season goes, we want you to come back on. We'll talk about it, man.
Awesome, for sure.
That's Tommy Troy, everybody. If you like hearing Tommy's story or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on Twitter, listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. As always, comments, ratings, feedback, thumbs up, hearts, hugs, love, great comments, feedback, criticism. We'll take it all, man. We're just trying to grow the show, put the story out there, and really just have some fun along the way. We got you guys next week. We'll be back with episode 15, where we're going out to Knoxville, but we're going to flip the script on you. We're not going to be talking baseball. We're going to be talking Lady Ball softball with Charlie Orsini. This has been the Off the Bench podcast. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We're out.